Marianne.
Huh?
Sorry.
What?
He's my friend.
Oh! But I'm your friend.
Supposed to say.
So was I.
So was I.
Hi, I'm Robert Downey Jr.
Welcome to a Civil War themed Fanfic Friday video.
Yeah. And
based on the just released in the US Marvel's Captain America Civil War.
You're correct, Chris Evans. And when we're not fighting each other...
You want to punch me in my perfect teeth. They're
do.
really not perfect.
What? Oh, yours. Okay, I was going to say, real Chris Evans is perfect in every way. But...
I'm definitely not Chris Evans.
No.
He just looked right at my hair.
I did. But, you know, when we're not fighting each other over whose superhero dick is biggest, we're writing fanfiction. And if you don't know how we write fanfiction...
Tell us who has the biggest superhero dick in the comments, though, while we're at that.
Yes, whose superhero dick is the biggest? Hulk is cheating. Don't say Hulk. That's
it can't
bullshit.
be that big. Those pants stay on.
That's true. That is very true. That's the only place where the pants actually stay on. For those of you who don't know, welcome to Fanfic Friday. We have been doing this every week so far for the last 3 weeks.
Fingers crossed. Knock on wood.
Although next month is going to be a different story. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, what we do is we write a fan fiction.
What the? That was like a horror movie. You see that shit?
I did.
Holy fuck, that was terrifying. I thought that was a demon.
That was really spoopy.
That was like Slender Man.
Anyway, so what we do for Fanfic Friday...
I feel like I'm adding nothing to this.
What we do for Fanfic Friday
We get haunted by a demonic presence.
No, we don't. We put slips of paper with character, location, and scenario suggestions into 3 separate hats. And
so there's like loads of characters and loads of scenarios and loads of locations in 3 individual hats.
Yes, and this is like a cumulative thing. So by now we
have a lot. They're like dozens.
Yeah, because
dozens!
Because we have been writing down your suggestions every week. There's quite a lot.
So this week we decided to celebrate Marvel Civil War release by adding a bunch of, actually just having a bunch of characters, locations, and scenarios from the Marvel Universe, from the comic books and the shows and the movies.
Well, the characters were exclusive. The locations and scenarios, we added in some normal ones just for fun.
Yeah, so we have a potential to have Marvel characters going on dates or fighting or who knows what they might be doing and where they might be doing it.
In the butt.
Let's find out.
The following fanfics are based on existing properties. We do not own the rights to the characters or the locations associated with them. These stories are intended to be non-profit and are written for fun only. Each author was randomly assigned 2 characters, a location, and a scenario. Each contestant was given 30 minutes to finish their story. What follows is the shocking results.
Shit. Hey guys! Happy Civil War Day. This week I drew Black Widow, Wolverine. The location is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And the scenario is that number 1 is training number 2 for a fight. I didn't quite take that so literally, but we'll see how it goes.
How is this supposed to be helpful?
The gruff, no-nonsense tone carried flatly over the dry air of Califor, an arid planet tucked away in the outer rim. Wolverine stood before her, his large legs bursting the seams of a pair of revealing pants, and his chest exposed to the warm afternoon air. A series of leather and cloth straps were all that covered his muscular upper half. Black Widow sat at the bottom of the ramp of their silver ship, trying to hide the amused smirk gathering at the corners of her lips. "This is a planet that has a matriarchal society," Romanoff said, allowing her poker face to take over in the face of Logan's ridiculous outfit. "Men are seen as objects to be owned and enjoyed, so I have to look like I enjoy you." Her tongue grazed against the words delicately, and Wolverine clucked his own in distaste. The 2 had previously been 3 when they began this ridiculous mission. Ant-Man began the mission with them but had gone missing after the last conflict. The 2 of them had managed to track down his location to this planet, where he was currently held captive within a nearby palace. They had touched down to gather more intel and found that there was a party that evening in honor of the Queen's 20th year of rule, but they needed to find a way in. Natasha, being gifted in the art of subterfuge, had needed every ounce of skill to convince Logan that this idea was the best one they had, but judging from the scowl on his face that hadn't left since donning the traditional male garb, he still didn't believe her. "Either way, I think this'll work nicely," she said, tilting her head a little too far to appreciate the wardrobe. The light fell across his deltoids in a way that clearly expressed each ligament, which delicately twitched with each movement of his defined arms. She blinked in an attempt to get back on track. "Now we just need to work on," she vaguely gestured at his face, "this." A thick, angular brow arched up, and the corners of his lips pulled further down. Romanoff folded her arms across her chest, allowing one of her hands to rest on her chin in mock thought. "I'm definitely getting a strong sense of loathing."
You sure you aren't the psychic one?
Wolverine grumped loudly, resting his hands on his hips. "While loathing is all well and good, I think it shouldn't be all loathing. We need to convince them that you're even slightly affected by the Stockholm Syndrome that I'm sure all these men have to have in order to survive living here. Show me that face." Wolverine's face did not move. Okay, that's good. Now, what if you were in mourning? What if you were ripped away from your family on a different planet to be a slave here? Let's see that." Again, Wolverine remained motionless, refusing to humor her exercises. She remained unbothered, the corners of her lips turning up as she allowed herself a bit of fun. "Great. I love it. Now let's say that you and the big green guy got in a fight and you ended it with a stick lodged firmly up your own ass. What would that look like?" His face remained the same. "I think that's the best one yet. What do you think, big boy? Do you like that backstory?"
You really want to know my opinion, bub?
He spat a pet name back at her. "Don't get too saucy with me, mister," she chided. "Remember, I'm the one making costuming decisions here. This was the conservative male slave outfit. I'm on your side here." Logan didn't seem entirely convinced, and she agreed that he most likely should not have. Entering the code to lift the ramp, Black Widow crossed to their modest ground transport. She threw her leg over the space motorcycle with ease, glancing at the seat behind her before looking back at Wolverine. He sighed, a long-suffering thing that she had no idea how he managed to contain, and got behind her. She patted his leg encouragingly. "There's a good boy," Natasha said. She could almost feel him bristle behind her. "Let's go save our prince in peril. Oh, and don't forget to smile." Gender binaries. The fanfiction.
Hey guys, Martin here. My Civil War themed fanfic features the characters of Hawkeye and the Punisher, and it takes place at the Avengers compound. And the scenario, which was suggested by Raiju Folger, was the only non-Marvel element of my fanfic, which is trying unsuccessfully to start a rave. I called my fic Civil Wub. That's probably my favorite part of this story is the title. The black light coated the command center, highlighting the array of blinking consoles and apparatus with a funktastic glow. Music pumped through the sound system, typically reserved for announcements of one emergency or another. It would not be uncommon to hear tell of an imminent Hydra attack or SOS call from a SHIELD envoy through the speakers, but today they simply buzzed with the stress of non-stop hardcore rave tracks. Frank Castle clambered over the remnants of furniture that stood in his wake, sawn-off shotgun at the ready as he explored the oddly lit Avengers compound. He had heard that this team of so-called superheroes were a well-oiled machine, an incorruptible shield that defended the planet from the ravages of evil. What he had found upon entering, which had been a by-the-numbers operation unto itself, requiring him to kidnap and torture one of the interns working here until they gave him the name of someone who actually knew anything, then kidnap and torture that person until they gave him the entry code for the complex, and should he need to pass a retinal scan, gouging out their eyeballs certainly didn't hurt his chances of infiltration, was frankly a mess. For starters, nobody of any import appeared to be on location. Captain America? AWOL. Iron Man? Nada. Thor? Probably off helping reshingle Nick Fury's roof with that hammer of his. Not even Ant-Man or Falcon had made an appearance, and they were the super low-budget heroes. Instead, Frank had happened upon this dim, poorly lit shell of a party. Loud noise that resembled music, a dance floor littered with balloons, alcohol strewn about several tables that had been completely untouched, and overhead, across the enormous letter A that symbolized their haphazard team of superpowered vigilante, there hung a banner that read Happy Anniversary in garish, glow-in-the-dark font.
Looks like I crashed the party.
Frank grimaced, his worn features tightening into a maze of wrinkles with his sulking lips at the dead center.
On second thoughts, looks like this party crashed and burned a while ago.
His ear twitched as he felt movement behind him. A whooshing sound caused him to instinctively dive and spin in mid-air, aiming the shotgun indiscriminately as his trigger finger awoke in his hand and sent 2 scattered blasts directly into the wall. He flinched as he felt a sharp pain in his gut. He felt the telltale warmth of blood gathering beneath his totally awesome black shirt with a freaking cool white skull on it that looked like a 12-year-old's Halloween costume his mother didn't approve of. He stared at the wound, shocked that somebody was able to get the drop on him. But of course, he was fighting a team of superheroes. But which one had attacked him? And with what? He reached into his side and pulled something out of the hole in his torso. He had been shot with a projectile of some sort. He held it in his clenched, vengeful fist and tightened his clenched, vengeful jaw. "What's the matter?" the Punisher growled, holding the glow stick he had been shot with aloft with a frenzied look in his bloodshot eyes. "Run out of arrows, Barton?" "It was all I had on me at the time," Hawkeye called out from behind the DJ equipment on a nearby staging area. Frank whipped his shotgun out at arm's length and began stumbling toward the turntables. "Looks like the tables really are about to turn," Frank thought to himself, but didn't smile because he's a grim anti-hero and that wouldn't be right. "Well, can you come back later when I'm more prepared?" "Vengeance waits for no one," declared Castle as he kicked the DJ stuff aside to get a look at his assailant. Hawkeye had plastered himself to one of the speakers, his backside strangely noticeable in the black light. Frank spent a good 5 seconds admiring his posterior and thinking that a man with a butt that nice couldn't possibly be all bad. But then he remembered New York. "You have to answer for your crimes." "That wasn't me," Clint insisted, puppy eyes pleading with the force of justice bearing down upon him. "I was brainwashed. All those things I did, it was against my will." "Justice has no loopholes." Frank raised his weapon and aimed it square at Hawkeye's beautiful backside. Clearly Hawkeye's vulnerable spot, as it was the part he took care of the most. "You have to be put down." "You can't kill me," Hawkeye begged. "I spent such a long time arranging this dance for the guys. It's been 4 years to the day since we all united and became the Avengers. They're gonna love it." "I don't think so," Frank remarked. Then he turned and shot all his remaining bullets into the sound system, murdering the monotonous dubstep soundtrack. He checked his pockets, fresh out of ammo. In a spur-of-the-moment bit of decision-making, he decided to let Hawkeye off with a warning. "Let that be a lesson to you. Don't go getting mind-controlled and help an evil maniac try to overthrow our planet. Again, I mean." "I'll do my best," said Hawkeye. "Oh, and one more thing," Frank continued. "You dropped something." "What's that?" said Hawkeye, already starting to crawl away from the imposing, totally not Batman figure of the Punisher. "The bass." Frank swung a bass guitar that he had acquired in all the darkness and confusion, connecting it with Hawkeye's attractive chin, knocking him out. Leaving the Avengers compound, Frank Castle turned and admired the impressive fortress that the Steve Rogers-led posse had erected for themselves. It would have made a good home for a hero who wanted to be amongst other heroes, but not Frank. He didn't play well with others. And he didn't much care for rave music. "Catch you later, Avengers." The Punisher cocked his brow, nursing his battle wound as he continued to walk. "Time for this, vigilante. To Netflix and kill."
Okay, for this week, I got Captain America, the Mandarin, at a karaoke bar, which is something that was submitted by Jesse Jess, and one too many drinks. Going to the karaoke bar wasn't exactly his idea of a good time, but after endless prodding about needing to lighten up, combined with Clint talking about how much fun it was, it seemed like a good combination. He wasn't quite sure how long it had been since he sang something, but he was Captain America, and he was going to sing every patriotic song they had. Really, it was something he had been wanting to try for a while, but was too afraid to give it a go until he was annoyed by Tony for being too much of a buzzkill. He walked into the establishment assuming it would be a single stage surrounded by drunk patrons that wouldn't care if he was there or not, but he was surprised to find that there were hallways with doors that you could only see into a little bit. He could tell that lots of people were already there and having a swell time, so he approached the desk asking for a room. "Sorry, my guy," said the man behind the register. "We just filled up a minute ago. Although the room that was reserved for 2 hasn't shown up yet. Maybe you can take it if he doesn't get here in the next 20 minutes or so?" "Oh, right. Well, I can wait, I suppose. There's nothing going on today that needs me. I hope," he muttered under his breath. He took a seat and waited for about 5 minutes before a man who looked like a combination of ragged and refined walked up to the counter with 2 women. "Sorry, fellow. Looks like you're out for today," said the cashier. "What's all that about?" said the man who approached the counter. "I wouldn't have you leave when there are songs to be sung." "Oh, well, that's very kind of you, but I wouldn't want to intrude on your time." "Nonsense! Nonsense! I've got these 2 lovely ladies here who have talked about coming here for a week,
And there's nothing wrong with adding another handsome figure to the bunch, you know? He said, cutting Steve off. It was pretty obvious that this man was far past the legal limit on alcohol, and possibly other substances. Steve's strong morals were about to get in the way, but then he heard Tony's taunts in the back of his mind again, and figured his story would be enough to shut him up for a while. Sure, why not? The more the merrier, right? Steve beamed. After they had settled into the room, Steve found himself very nervous at the prospect of singing in front of other people. The two women that came with the haggard-looking man sang several songs before trying to get their escort to do one. Steve assumed that this guy wouldn't be able to hold a candle with how drunk he was, but sat open-mouthed, as when the music started up, he may as well have been Frank Sinatra. The spotlight was on this mysterious drunk, and he was soaking it in, singing as if he were singing at a concert for thousands of adoring fans. The song ended, and Steve found himself clapping dumbly alongside the two companions. That was amazing. Where did you learn to sing like that? Steve questioned. I'm an acteur in some big stuff. It's in my blood, he said as he pounded his chest. From rags to riches after that role as the Mandarin. The what? Steve remembered instantly the stories in Tony's file about the Mandarin. It was a complicated setup, but he was certain that this man was behind bars for being an accomplice at this point. Oh yeah, I feel like things got a bit hairy there for a bit, but it was a good role. Paid buckets. Why aren't you in jail? Ladies, you should get out of here, Steve said. His feathers were obviously rustled, but he wasn't sure if this man was dangerous or not. Pooh-pooh, sit down and have a drink, the Mandarin said as he pulled several beers out of his pocket. Are you joking? You're going to jail, Steve said as the women closed the door. That's fine and well, but you haven't had a chance to sing yet. Would hate to say that I got to meet Captain America and didn't hear him sing, he said quite calmly with a smirk and glazed eyes. Not happening, Steve said gruffly. Oh, you're such a stick in the mud. You can sort of tell who's going to be fun out of your group, and you're obviously not on the same level as that Tony fellow. There it was. The nerve was struck, and he realized that this old drunk wasn't about to do anything really dangerous. You know what? I'm going to sing America the Beautiful. Poorly while drinking one of those beers, and you're going to tell that Tony fellow how much fun I can have, Steve said, obviously serious, but making it hard to hear what he was saying in earnest. Well, of course! You've already made my afternoon pretty exciting, and to be quite frank, I don't really like that Stark character anyhow. Pointed a gun in my face once, and he seemed to be like a bit of a prick, he said as he impressively chugged 2 beers while speaking. Give me some of those, Steve said as he grabbed for a beer and tried, and failed to chug it in one go. It ended up being closer to 4 or 5 large sips after he finished sputtering from the initial attempt. There you go, my boy, the Mandarin said as he pulled a 6-pack out of his coat. Steve wasn't about to be a lightweight, and finished 3 more before grabbing a mic and wailing very poorly into the mic, not realizing he was supposed to pick the song first so that the music would play in the background. The Mandarin, who at some point gave his name as Trevor, set up Steve for 3 more songs before sneaking out the door when Steve was all too caught up in singing Poison from Britney Spears, mainly because he didn't really know the lyrics. Tony certainly didn't approve of the new and improved Fun Steve, which only let the hard feelings between them grow even further. His teammates, however, were thrilled that Steve was working on trying to be cool, mainly because it was hilarious, but also because he still caught the Mandarin on his way out, since the old man had passed out in the hall trying to match drink for drink with Captain America, and lost.
Thanks for watching another Fanfic Friday video, and that we hope that you guys don't get into any civil wars out there fighting over which fanfic was better.
I'm gonna go watch some superhero dicks.
But in the meantime, while she's watching those dicks, you can suggest characters, locations, and scenarios in the comments, and we might use them and credit you in the videos when we end up writing those stories based on your suggestions. But remember,
the locations, characters, and scenarios cannot be, like, intrinsically tied together. They are physically written on separate pieces of paper and drawn out of individual hats.
So if you want a story that features, like, for example, Tony Stark building his Iron Man suit in the cave where he built his Iron Man suit,
that's stupid!
It won't work.
You want to watch that? You want to hear that? Go watch the movie!
Thank you.
God!
We're not here to entertain you with movies.
No!
We're here to entertain you with stupid fics that
written in a half hour or less.
that are not that great.
Yeah, mediocre. Another.
So,
references.
remember,
Witness me.
suggest things. But don't forget, we have an archive of our own account that you can check by reading the description below, and it has all of the fanfics that we read in these videos, including some that we don't.
Yeah, including some that we wrote before we even started filming this series.
By such names as Erica Harlicker, and Laura Post, and Rochelle Hager,
and Jennifer Lee.
And Kate G. Tang?
No, he
No.
doesn't have one. He's
Screw
written-
KG Tag.
Yeah, he's an ass butt.
He's not a fan or a fic.
Thanks for watching.